don't think assimilation is necessary. Reason being is because like culture is like super important, and when you mix people and you try to make them all the same, you get ultimately the same outcomes every time. And if you want to see a change in the world, there needs to be some kind of difference and some kind of clash and all of those things in order for things to progress positively.
Like the way we are as a society and also as a culture ourselves, like we celebrate Cinco de Mayo, we celebrate Black History Month, we celebrate even different holidays, are what's
Chinese New Year.
Sure. Are what's gonna make like us who we are as individuals, as a society, and as a group of people. Because you can't pull the culture out of people, because that's basically what makes us even the United States of America is a bunch of different mixed cultures of where we all come from.
I don't agree with it, but I feel like in the country you go to, it's required. When you do try to fit in and conform to the norm of what they're about, then you get the backlash of where you came from. So it's like you can't really win in any aspect. You can win to fit in, because the people where you're trying to fit in are like, you're trying to fit in, go back to your culture. And then you go to your culture and you're like, well, you're trying to fit in with them.
I don't think it's necessary as far as assimilation goes. I think it's more about like respect. So each of us have our own cultures, and as far as even though we're not all the same, I should be able to respect like what you believe in and what like your culture is. I mean, me myself, I'm proud of being a Mexican, but that doesn't mean like I'm out here forcing what I believe in and like my cultural beliefs to anyone else. And it's the same way like when I'm around other people. It's like if it's like their party or whatever, like their gathering, then I'm based off, like I'm going off of what is like the norms for them and stuff like that.
Personally, for me, to remember where I'm from and like just remember everything that had to be done, everything that people had to go through for me to be me. Even just like the fun of it, like the fun things of like throwing Mexican birthday parties, having Mexican candy, like speaking a different language, you know, like it's a beautiful thing. You know, there's some things that you can't say in English that are easily expressed in Spanish that like people just won't understand, you know.
That's
and
true. That's true.
I'm like, I don't know how to say it, but can I tell you in Spanish? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know the word, but can I tell you in
All
Spanish?
the time.
True.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the time. And like, let's just even like when you scream at your kids, like it's more intense when you do it in Spanish. Like, it's just, but yeah, I think it's really important for me and like for like my children, you know, and especially if I have like if it's like a cross culture thing, like whoever like my husband is, like I don't know if he's gonna be Mexican, Black, who knows what, like I want there to be some kind of mix, you know, not only my culture but also like my kid's father's culture as well.
I honor, in my culture, the people who fought for Mexican land. So long ago, you know, they told their kids, you know, like, I fought for this land, so you better honor it. We didn't do this for nothing, you know? We didn't do this to lose it. And Mexican food is the best. We have Mexican candy, chile,
Mexican bread.
conchas, pan dulce, same thing.
For me, like it's super important, like how they were saying, to go off of it. It's just, I mean, at the end of the day, it makes you who you are. I mean, like not maybe necessarily completely, because there are certain things. I mean, it is important for me to acknowledge my culture, but there's certain point of views and stuff that I don't necessarily like also believe in. Like from example, me and my parents, like I guess that I would consider them like old school fashion Mexicans. And there's like a lot of things that they believe in that I don't. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's part of like their upbringing and the culture. So I respect it and I acknowledge it, but I don't necessarily always, how would I say, agree with it. But it is something that's important because I mean, at the end of the day, it makes me and like their beliefs are making me who I am.
I think we also can't get confused on culture and views. I think we kind of mash those things together sometimes, where the views that your parents have is like, oh, this is my culture.
I guess I don't completely agree with that, because that's what it is. It's like your morality goes with your culture. Like it kind of goes hand in hand. I don't agree with my parents. Like they think that I should be like a stay-at-home mom. I shouldn't, like they don't want me to go to school.
I get it. Being a stay-at-home mom, cooking, cleaning for your husband, that's what Mexican moms teach their daughters. But like that's the culture. But it's like the culture is like the music. Culture is me like the music tradition. I think that's like kind of different.
I mean, if you want to say, I guess like about like traditions, well then wouldn't it be considered a tradition for the women? Like as far as like Hispanics or like Latins, is like the tradition is for them to, you're staying at home, you're watching after the kids, you're cooking. Like that's like what like they've been instilled, like that's what like they've been made to believe.
I could be wrong, but it's kind of like a quinceañera. I don't know nothing about that thing.
Oh yeah,
but from
like
what
that's,
I know,
that's
like
the
tradition. Okay, my daughter, I don't know, yeah, my daughter's gonna have this or whatever, but the view behind it is that they're turning from a woman or from a girl to a woman, right? Would that would be more of like a view? No, more,
that's the culture.
Yeah, that'll
That's
be
the
more of a culture
That's the
because
culture.
every Hispanic, like little girl, has a quinceañera.
It's just hard to like separate them and then like, but still, they're in the same. They're in the same
They're the same
food
circle.
chain,
It's
but
a
they're
very-
not the same food.
It's a very
And
gray
then
area.
honestly, I believe that nowadays people lack the knowledge of their culture.
I think so.
In all cultures, in
Yeah.
all aspects. Like, yeah, we could sit here and say, oh, Mexican candy. We could sit here and say piñatas. We could sit here, I know I said it wrong. We could sit here and
Piñatas.
say quinceañeras. I know we could sit here and say we know everything about our cultures, but then when it comes down to knowing deep down in your roots, I feel like nowadays in the generation we all kind of lack that knowledge.
I think first of all, like people are very ignorant or like they're not educated on what Cinco de Mayo is. Cinco de Mayo is not Mexicans' Independence Day. It's the Batalla de Puebla, which eventually led to Independence Day, but that's not what what happened. And Mexico, all of Mexico does not celebrate it. Like my family in Mexico, they're just chilling right now. It's a normal Sunday. They probably didn't go to church because they don't go to church, but like, they're just chilling. Like the Mexican president spoke in Puebla and he went over the thing and everything and he celebrated with them, but that's it. You just go and that's literally it. So like I just feel like now it's just like it became just this marketing thing where people just want to celebrate stuff and all these people are making business out of Mexican Independence Day. If you go out and you ask anybody what Cinco de Mayo is, they're going to be like, it's Mexican Independence Day. And it's not.
I think it's celebrated here more than it is.
Yeah,
in the actual
I mean,
country.
some border cities, they'll celebrate it to get like money off of the Americans that cross for that weekend. But like, I mean, it's the money.
It goes back to like being, like we're washed out of our culture, like we're washed down out of our culture, because one, like a lot of people don't truly or genuinely know what this Cinco de Mayo actually is. I really don't know what it is. I don't pay attention to it. It's like I'm like far from my culture. I don't really study it. I don't really just a normal person. But that goes back down to how a lot of people aren't really into their culture as much as they should be or as much as they want to be. Because some people try, but then it's like the effort that you're putting in to know the history, to know the knowledge, to know the current events, to know everything. Like you said, it's a marketing. You go out in, I think it's like downtown Redlands, and there's a car show. Then there's people selling drinks, and they're selling toys, and they're selling sombreros, and they're selling ponchos, and they're selling all this stuff. And a lot of people are just like, hey, it's Sunday. Let's go. And then somebody's benefiting from it rather than the actual culture being acknowledged for what it is.
They don't give us the recognition, I think, properly and respectfully. I'm a first generation American here. My parents are not from here. I think the intentions in the beginning was right, like they had good intentions, but then throughout the years it got washed out. Probably one person was like, oh, margaritas, oh, like tacos, oh, this, that, I love this stuff, let me celebrate with them.
Me personally, it doesn't bother me that to celebrate it. It's more about like the actual, like do it respectfully, like actually know, I guess, like what you're celebrating it. Like, but I think ultimately, like as far as like if they're respecting, because I mean there is some people that they don't care like what it's about or anything like that. But if they have like good intentions, and I mean like if it's like people outside of our culture, like they're just, I guess, using it as an excuse to celebrate. Don't be disrespectful or like put up a front with me, and then like behind our backs, like you're talking down upon like our culture and like our beliefs and stuff like that.
People to build a wall.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as long as it's a respectful way of like celebrating our traditions, there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion.
Respect.
Like it's just like, oh, like I'm not saying like don't do it, but it's just like don't say you're celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Like you could just say you're just having a party, like because that's like they're just using it as a reason to like, oh yeah, like let me go get half off margaritas or like half off tacos, like or whatever. I think like that's what it is. Like don't say you're celebrating that day, like you're just celebrating whatever. You're just throwing a party. You just felt like drinking that day.
sad to say, but I am now. You know, I love being Mexican. I love my culture, speaking Spanish, all that. I love it all. Back in the day, I didn't because I was trying to assimilation my life, or however you say it. But now, like, those barriers are broken because I see the reality.
I think at some point I was kind of like, I wanted to be white. I don't know why. I think now, like in high school, like, I realized, like, I like being Mexican. Like, I like having, like, it's just, there's something so fresh about it. Like, I love it. And like you said, speaking Spanish, like, all of it, like, I just love it so much.
Me personally, I was never someone that was like ashamed of it at any point. Like, even as like when I was like younger, like I never wanted to be like, oh, like I want to look white or I want to look like this. Like me personally, like the way I was, like, it was instilled into me is, hey, you're Mexican, like you should be proud of it. And that's just the way I grew up personally. Like, as like going through school, like I said, like Spanish was my first language. Like, I didn't try to, like, oh, I need to learn English, like, faster, or I need, like, to get rid of my accent. Like, that to me, that was never a problem. Like, it's going to come eventually in time.
I'm not really a cultural person, but this, I guess this topic really made me want to, like, dig deeper, because it made me, like, really think reality. I don't know. I'm not a very cultural person. I'm just, hey, I am what I am. God made me who I am. I woke up this color. I go to sleep this color. I mean, if I stand in the sun, it might get a little bit darker. My thing is, like, it made me want to dig a little bit deeper into who I am, what I represent.
And action.
Yeah.
Wow.
My parents taught me at home, and then I learned English, obviously.
Yeah,
from school.
like at home and then at school I learned English.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
English.
so like I remember going into like elementary school, I had the biggest accent. It was ridiculous. And like I remember feeling so embarrassed. So like I wanted to like change how I talked and how I did everything in order to fit in. You know, and I feel like
Assimilation.
yeah, I mean it kind of just happens, but it's not like I meant it to. You know, like you want to be cool, you know?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Got a
like,
bunch of Mexicans wearing Cortezes.
Cortezes.
Now they want to wear
Still wear
Jordans.
Cortezes.
Wow.
Oh, I did not think that.
So we can go
I
ahead.
am so sorry.
I mean, it's fine. I want it to be authentic.
Don't apologize, girl.
But okay, I'm not sorry.
That's what I'm talking about.